So, Caroline, what would you like to bring to coaching today to do some good thinking about?
I would really like to do some good thinking about focus. And that's focus within where I'm focusing my time and building my coaching business. Because I'm very aware that where I want to go long term and what I've been doing during lockdown has been very different.
Okay, so we're looking at focus. And so what is it about this that's important to you?
What's important to me is that I feel that I want to be working in one direction. And at the moment, I feel I'm split into two. So I know where I want to go long term is I want to be very much building a leadership and executive coaching business with kind of C-suite and leaders approaching C-suite. But what I found is through probably the fear that came with seeing a lot of corporate contracts go on ice at the beginning of lockdown is I've then I pivoted to career coaching to make sure I brought in income.
Okay. So your focus has become diluted a bit.
Yes.
Because of that.
I think I've probably even kind of done a volte-face.
Which, right.
And then that, because I saw that career coaching clients were coming to me, I then started marketing. I would start marketing that. And then I think if I was to look at my LinkedIn as an outsider, I'd probably say, well, actually, who is she? What does she specialize in? So there's not only where am I focusing my work, but also where am I focusing my messaging?
Okay. So it's a focus on work, focus on messaging. And so how will you know you've got what you need by the time we finish working together in 17 minutes time?
I think to just feel a comfort, to know I've got a clear strategy for going forward and a comfort with whatever decision I make.
Okay. So comfort in that strategy. And how would you like the two of us to work together on this?
I would love to be good. That's a really good question. I would love to. I'd love to explore what's giving me my stomach feels like it's churning even when I think about it now. And I think it's been churning over the last 3 months about this. I'd love to get us to be able to just feel calmer about it, but also just feel that I'm being true that I'm confident in what I'm doing. And I wouldn't mind being I'd like to be challenged in this as well.
Yeah, okay. Can certainly add in some challenge. What does challenge look like for you?
I feel that I'm playing small and I'm playing from a place of fear, and I'd like to be challenged to think bigger.
Okay. This is about thinking bigger.
Yeah.
At the same time as having focus.
Yes. And I think I see the two going very much together.
Yeah.
Which is when you've got the energy going towards one thing because you're focused, then you can achieve much bigger things. Whereas if you're diluting your energy, you're diluting your impact.
Yes. Okay. And what's your sense then of what we need to cover in order to get you to that place of playing bigger and having that focus and calming from it?
I think I need to kind of dig into the fears and beliefs behind it.
Okay. So where would be a good place to start?
I think starting off by just sharing the fact that my big fear is that the work I'm looking for doesn't exist at the moment.
How true?
Maybe just there is some truth in it, but it's not full truth. So there's truth in that. My truth is that I know that the corporates that I work with have all said everything needs to go on ice. But there's been a new source of business that's still true to my leadership coaching who have come as individuals. So it's only 50% true.
And you said that's your 50% true.
Yes, because I don't know how reflective that is of the marketplace.
Mm.
I've talked to one other coach who has said it's split for her as well, but I don't really know whether that's, you know, how reflective is my experience of what it is out there.
Yeah. So what else is underneath that fear?
The fundamental fear at the bottom of it all is that, am I good enough to be hired, to be aiming at this group?
Am I good enough?
And again, the rational bit is I can say, well, look, I can write down the names for myself to kind of justify, look, you've coached all these people and they've been really pleased with it all. So there's very little truth in that, but it still pops up, I think.
Mm. And how is it popping up differently now during COVID-19 compared to previously?
Good question. I think it's because I'm a very visual person, and because I very much, and I love deep connection. I think I'm probably making things up through the distance that comes out there, and I'm not able to read the signs so much because I can't touch and feel them and see them.
Mm.
So I've got more, and therefore I've got more space to be in my own head as well.
Yeah.
And make it all up for myself.
Aha. Yeah. Any other fears lurking underneath the surface?
The fear I started with was, what if my business disappeared over lockdown? But I think, interestingly, I've worked really hard at it, and I've actually what I've seen is I've got more clients during that time. It took me, I went into it very energetically, and I ended up getting more clients in that time than I probably normally would have done. So it was real it was a real boot that worked.
Yeah.
So that fear was the initial fear, and that has gone away.
Okay. So what do you know now that you didn't know at the beginning, Caroline?
That coaching is still required at this time, and that there are still clients wanting coaching out there. I think also the big learning I found was that clients come to find you as well. You don't have to go out there all the time. You know, you can do all this work and it does have some impact, but actually there is that whole abundance piece is true as well. I don't have to keep pushing.
Yeah.
And that's been a real relief, because pushing feels hard.
Yeah. So we started off talking about focus, and we've explored the fear. What would be useful in our remaining 10 minutes?
I think to come up with an action plan of what to do next. I've got ideas floating around in my head, and I have a tendency to then kind of, I have a lot of ideas, and again, it's then focus about what to do. So maybe to put them in a kind of priority order, so that rather than being overwhelmed with how many there are, I can maybe cherry pick one or two that I'm going to therefore focus on.
Okay.
Because I feel uncomfortable just saying, okay, well, I'm just going to sit back and wait for more clients to come, because that doesn't feel right.
Yeah. So even though you're saying it's hard to be pushing, you still want to do some of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And by pushing, I think it's more that I want to be out there. I want to have my head above the parapet and kind of interacting with people so that they know that I'm there. I think when clients came to me that I hadn't actively gone and networked with, it was because I was increasing how much I was increasing my visibility on LinkedIn.
Okay. So there is still that piece around visibility.
Yes.
Important. So what is your focus? What are the actions to lead you to that focus?
Well, I have so the immediate action, I think, is to keep posting relevant content that helps others, helps leaders on LinkedIn. And I'm probably some of the stomach churning is the piece was I stopped that for a couple of weeks because I was expecting another company to post something on my behalf, which got delayed. So probably also there's a bit of self-flagellation about I've left it for 2 weeks, it's gone down. So there's so moving that piece forward this week. So I've got traction on that this morning. So going back to posting something meaningful for my target audience that is a gift to them, once a week. I'm interested in investigating ways to use PR or look at individuals who can therefore help you get articles or speaking assignments, and to look into that area to find somebody on that. And then I'm interested in doing some research amongst women in finance about what they have found to be the biggest issues from a leadership perspective, and then to use that to therefore write some more articles and therefore build more connections.
And you said you wanted to prioritize. So how are you going to prioritize to make it bite-sized?
Yes. Well, the interesting things that comes up for me on that is that the whole talking to individuals and doing that research feels very much in my comfort zone. You're building connection, helping them feel understood. Going out and doing more, having somebody pitch me to go and talk feels more scary. Maybe that's what's the issue, is that actually there's one which feels more scary, but I think might have more results. And then there's one that's kind of comfort zone, but might have less results. So maybe that's the whole piece on the prioritization. I need to work out which one.
What are your thoughts around that?
The thoughts around that going out and doing the speaking one, actually, funnily enough, is the one that gives me the most excitement too. But here we go. Here's the insight that's coming up: is the reality. The reason I'm holding back on that one is that I need to rely on somebody else to deliver on that, and that's what where my frustration comes in, because with the piece that I'm finding that when I then look to other people and I rely on them, it doesn't happen. So actually, that's interesting. Actually, the whole stomach churning bit is the whole piece about when I can rely on myself, it's okay, I can make it happen. When I rely on others, it doesn't. So therefore, am I staying small because I don't want to rely on others and get let down? Changed the topic completely, haven't I, as a result?
Well, you talked about playing small and playing bigger. So what are you noticing now?
So the biggest link between playing small and playing bigger is that therefore I need to find people I can ally with who actually to the topic today, I can trust will help me get there. Because every time I found a lot of times when I go out there, there's a lot of talking, but not a lot of action.
Yeah. So what would be useful now in our last 5 minutes? Well, it's made me think there's another big topic that I need to do separately, which is to really look into this whole piece about trusting others enough to get help. But that's not a 5-minute discussion. So maybe just exploring though, so if I'm then going to go out and do that bigger piece of finding ways to talk and finding someone to help me with that, how would I know that I found the right partner? Go on then.
Well, my immediate step is that I thought would be to find somebody that's been recommended by someone else because they've seen the results. And I therefore think I should there's somebody I've got in mind who's been very, very good at doing PR, and I think I should ask her for her recommendations.
Mm-hmm. So you said at the beginning that you wanted to get more focus.
Yes.
So where are you now?
I think so. I've come away from a place that that I need I've moved away from thinking that I have to focus on career coaching for fear that I won't be able to get the other pieces, and that I need to be single-minded about it. I need to. I recognise that I've got to lead the things that were working. I need to keep going rather than feeling I should be waiting for other people when they don't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
So rather than just trying to be good and play the game, if people is just to do it, just do what I think is do the right thing anyway, which is a big thing because that's not how I normally like to be, and that I should explore this route of looking for help in finding this ways to play bigger, but not put everything else on hold while I do that.
And what's your focus for this week?
My focus for this week is to get this article out on LinkedIn with this individual, and to speak to the coach who's really good at PR and articles, to ask for who she'd recommend that I worked with.
Mm-hmm.